Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. And ladies and gentlemen, this whole year is almost gone by so fast. I guess time does go by so fast when you are having fun. Except probably this past year and the last 4 years, we have not been having fun because of what's going on in the world. Let's hope that 2008 will be a better year for us. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to have a guest. It's just going to be you and I. And we will try to look back at actually the last 4 years that we have been on the air. We do welcome your phone calls. I would like to have your participation. You can call us, tell us what you want us to do in the next year, and what topics you would like us to cover for the next year, 2008. And just evaluate us. Let us know what you think of us. Let us know if you were able to actually learn something from this show or just whatever. You know, I am interested in your opinion. Just evaluate this show, evaluate us. What do you want us to improve? Now, we're not saying that we will go along with what you're saying, but we will hear what you have to say about the show, about me, anything that you would like us to change. We would like to hear from you. Again, that doesn't mean that we will change, but we would like to know how people feel about us out there. So we will put the phone number now on the screen, and we welcome anyone to call. Now, if you are new to this show, welcome, and I'm sure once you hear what we have to say, you'll probably be forgetting about all other stations and all other channels and wanting to stick to AOC, and especially Current Issues, the program that you are watching now. Because what we do, probably not too many people out there are doing, which is telling you the truth just like it is, with no strings attached to anyone, anywhere, except to you, our viewers. We don't get paid here. Nobody gets paid. This is a volunteer work. No one in the control room, no one in the studio, no one on cameras, everybody. This is nothing but a TV by the people, for the people. Like we always say, this is TV for the people, by we are the people. Now, some of the programs, ladies and gentlemen, that we have actually covered, mainly we concentrated on, in the last 4 years, we concentrated on the war in Iraq, what is going on in Palestine, what are the Israelis doing to the Palestinians. We have talked about Afghanistan and what is going on in Afghanistan. Of course, you know, whenever we have an election, we will talk about that election with some of you for you, so you will know. And as many of you know, that we are not biased here in any way, even though I always claim that I am a Republican, but most of you who know me think I'm a Democrat. That is because I don't take sides. If the Democrats are in the wrong, as they are now, by the way, because they promised us that they will take care of George Bush, but George Bush took care of them. And of course, we are after George Bush for what he's doing, because we feel that we are to speak the truth, that maybe if you know the truth, that you might wake up from your slumber. But that's turning out to be not the case, because a lot of you are still sleeping or flipping through the channels and you don't know what's going on in the world. We talked about the dollar and how horrible the dollar is now. We talked about the wall that Israel is building and what it's doing to the Palestinians. And we have talked about many things. The latest thing we talked about is the national intelligence estimate that our intelligence community had came up with. I think that's what we talked about last week. But unfortunately, I did not see a lot of coverage for that. Because actually, in reality, ladies and gentlemen, what has taken place with this national estimate is a lot more dangerous and important than anything out there. And I have not seen anyone of these mainstream media jumping on this, because this is the day when America backed off from attacking Iran. Because Russia had threatened that an attack on Iran is an attack on Russia. That's how they viewed it. That's how they pressured us. And apparently, we realized that we don't want Third World War that President Bush spoke about last month, because he was talking about a war with Iran. Now, since we are talking about a war with Russia, then we better back off, because they can hurt us as well as we can hurt them. And we had killed enough people, 1 million Iraqis that we had killed in the last 4 years. So let's not go that far. But anyhow, let's go ahead, and we were going to discuss some of these things that we have covered, but looks like we have a lot of people are waiting to call, and I do want you to call, and we will take all the calls, because we want you to improve us. And by the way, I haven't heard from, there's a couple of guys that used to call the show, and really they were opposing to this, to our views. I don't know what happened to them. I hope what's his name, still alive. He was an older gentleman. I forgot his name. Do you remember his name, Hart? Okay. And if you guys in the control room remember, I know Larry is one of them, but the older gentleman that used to call, I really miss hearing from him. But let's go to line 1 in Canada is Ramsey. Go ahead, Ramsey.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I just want to ask you something and then make a comment.
Sure.
I want to get your opinion about the regarding the Jewish menorah symbol in the White House and being placed all over the place in the United States, and there's one in where I'm calling from, Canada too, in front of the government building. And so regarding your show has been great as usual. Just keep on talking what you're talking about, and especially emphasizing more on the Jewish lobby and their control of the Middle East policy and the media.
And the United States policies too. And the United States Congress, yes. Very good, Ramsey. Thanks, appreciate it. Okay, the menorah at the White House. All right. Brother Jay.
How you doing, Dr.
I'm fine, thank you.
As a long-time part of the Community Defender TV program and a member of AOC, I'd like to commend you, Brother Tillawi, especially this year for bringing the truth. And our associate, Brother Freedom, he's always telling me, man, you ought to turn this guy on AOC.
Hey,
and,
hey, Brother Jay, you can call me brother too. It's okay.
Okay. Well, to make a long story short, I don't want to take up your time. I just want you to comment on this. I always like to call in and to get comments on things that's happening in the news and to give out facts. Given the sad state of this Bush-sorry Justice Department, you don't think anything could be brought forth against the CIA operatives or hierarchy in the CIA that supposedly destroyed the tapes dealing with the waterboarding situation? And if you look at so many incidents and so many different things that come out about this Bush Justice Department and this Bush administration, and given the things that have been happening in the past, Dr. Tillawi, I mean, I'm going to give you a prime example today. You know, I being an African American was somewhat taken aback today when you saw the news conference that Reverend Al Sharpton is under investigation. Now, doesn't that it plays kind of funny now that, if you remember, Reverend Sharpton was heavily involved in the Gina 6 situation, and the local U.S. Attorney, Donald Washington, was brought before the House Judiciary Committee, and he basically got a spanking, actually a spanking by a member of Congress who happened to be a Muslim American, Representative Keith Ellison. And he asked Mr. Washington, how did you keep your job when in the face of all these other U.S. attorneys who were actually rewarded and those who were fired for actually standing up for justice? And it's amazing that they would bring charges against Reverend Sharpton right after this Gina Thing situation. I know the Bush administration is famous for taking retribution Washington on his enemies. So I'd like to get your comments on all of that. I know
let me ask you,
we just mix a jambalaya pot, Dr. Tillawi, but I think your expertise, you could comment on that.
Thanks. Jay, stay with me. Isn't it, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it Washington also, he's an African-American too, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, that's why.
He's a Bush political appointee.
Well, right, but the reason is because they wanted to diffuse that whole situation with saying, look, the U.S. attorney was an African-American too, so what are you griping about? And I think that's why it happened the way it happened.
And Dr. Tillawi, I could give you a whole list of issues in being a community activist in South Louisiana that Mr. Washington passed the buck on. As a U.S. attorney, you had situations in the Iberia Parish with the tear gas and the black citizen, old and young. You had police brutality issues in New Iberia. The voting fraud thing in St. Martinville that had racial overtone. Mr. Washington has sat on his hand the whole time.
Right.
And this actually, he has a worse record than the previous U.S. attorney, who was a Caucasian. So I'm saying this whole issue with the Bush Justice Department, it doesn't matter, I guess, if you're black or white in the Justice Department. What it matters is that you toe the line of the Bush administration. So I thank you so much, Dr. Tillawi, and thank you for letting me getting this thing out, and I hope you could comment further on that Bush Justice Department.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Larry.
Dr. Hesham Tillawi.
How are you?
Long time, my man. How you doing?
Very good, very good. You know, we miss you here, even though you call us and you don't agree with us, but we miss you.
Let me make a few comments. I've been checking you out every once in a while, and you know what? I found out that you're very, very transparent, biased. You know you're biased, and I've made my point. Me and my friend Eugene, through the years.
Eugene, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah,
okay,
we've made our point through the years. We know that you hate the Jews, but the majority of the American people, thank God, are not watching you.
You know what?
You know, so
it's you know, you don't know what they're missing. If they would watch me, they will know what's going on in the world, Larry.
No, I've been watching you through the years. Check you out. Oh, there he goes.
Now you know, Larry. Everything we talked about turned out to be right. No. That's why you stopped calling because you can't.
No, because you're wrong. It's not right. It's not right. You say that Israelis are slaughtering the Palestinians, which is not true. You're saying they have a wall, which is very little wall, and the rest is a fence.
Oh my God!
You know, you're saying all this stuff.
Hey, Larry, have you ever been there?
I've seen it on TV. I've seen it.
Okay. Now, I wanna show our viewers, but thank you for the call because I have a lot of things to say.
One more question. One more question.
Go ahead.
One more question.
Go ahead.
Why don't you tell the American people why they hate? Why the Islam extremists hate?
Why the Islam what?
Why do they hate the Islamists, the extremists? The extremists. Why do they hate so much?
Have you ever
explain that?
Have you ever met an Islamist?
Have you ever read that lady's book?
Whose lady?
The lady that wrote the book Why They Hate. That
okay.
Lebanese woman.
Do you believe everything you read, Larry?
Oh, let me tell you something. She's lived through it.
No. But what I mean, I'm sure.
She's lived through it.
Yeah, but now you do know every time someone writes a book, and especially if it gets any attention, the attention that it gets it because somebody with an agenda.
Anybody that has the opposite agenda of you always
understand.
You don't want to read, you don't want to hear it.
Now, what about hate in Christianity? There's no hate in Christianity?
No, there's no hate in true Christianity. There's no hate at all.
Okay.
There's no hate in true Christianity.
There's no hate?
No.
None whatsoever?
There's prayers for the enemies. That's all there is.
Do what to your enemies?
Yeah. There is prayer we pray for our enemies.
So let me ask you this: Are we praying for those people in Iraq?
We're always praying for the Arabs.
Let me ask you this: When George Bush said that God had whispered in his ears, and he has 30 million evangelists
I cannot answer for George Bush
that are supporting him. Does God hate those Iraqis, the whole million of them that we killed?
I can speak for the true Bible believers.
Can Christianity answer?
Nobody brings Christianity by the sword. Nobody.
Can Christianity answer why we killed 1 million Iraqis? Can you tell me that? Forget about the extremist. We don't call George Bush an extremist Christian.
Well, that's simple.
Can you tell me what the Christian...
I have a simple answer for you.
Go ahead.
We're going over there. We're fighting the extremists over there, so they'll all come over here. And guess what? It worked.
You still, Larry, we've been, okay, this thing has been for about 3 years now, 4 years. And you still think that we had to go there, kill them on their streets before they come and kill us on our streets, yes or no?
Well, of course. Look
Yes
at them
or
now.
no?
They moved to Morocco.
Yes or
and they're
no?
going to be in Europe pretty
All right.
soon.
So you're still as ignorant as you were 4 years ago.
So I'm done. I mean, you know.
Thank you, Larry. I have a lot of calls, but thank you.
Bye-bye.
It was good hearing from you. Okay, you see? Look, you know, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't teach them how to drink. Okay? Let's go to him. By the way, we would like to hear from you. You know, we had a whole program ready. If I knew a lot of people were going to be calling, I would have just not prepared anything. But you know what? I will go to the phones, but I want you to go ahead and put a picture of the wall. You know, this thing that Larry calls a small fence. And he said a small wall and the rest of it is fence. Go ahead and put a picture of the wall that is surrounding every Palestinian city. 25-foot concrete wall, ladies and gentlemen, what Larry is calling a small fence. This is a 25-foot concrete wall surrounds Palestinian cities. People can't get in or out of that city. This is a city that was actually divided right in the middle, and we went to this neighborhood. I'm very familiar with this neighborhood. We went there last summer. This is the fence that Larry talks about. It divided a whole city. People can't even get to their schools. Now, I want you to put the picture that says map of the wall. You will see how this fence that Larry thinks, it's going around the Palestinian towns in the West Bank. People can't move from one part to another part. We're not talking about this is like between the borders of the West Bank and Israel, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Israel likes to call this a security barrier. It is not. You know, it's a security barrier when you put this on the border, on your border. But you don't go in the middle of your neighbor's house and put a wall and say that is your backyard. Can we put that map? Or are we having problems with it? That says the map of the wall. Okay, so but this is what Larry still thinks, and he also says that Israel is not killing the Palestinians. You know, we have a lot of pictures, and we showed you here. You know, we're not going to turn this program into just showing you who the Israelis are killing. So I'm assuming the map of the wall, we don't have it, but we'll let's work on that and see if we can get it up. Let me go to Ray in the meantime. Ray, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. Say, I've often wondered, and I've never seen anybody discuss it. We know that each year Israel gets $5 to $6 billion a year in foreign aid.
11 billion.
How much does Palestine get?
Well, that's a good question. The Palestinians, now of course when we talk about Palestine, we don't talk about the Palestinians as whole who receive money from the United States. Now the United States has interest within the what's called Palestinian National Authority, really Palestine. And you see, this is the sadness about this whole thing. The tragedy is people out there think there is a Palestinian government, there is a Palestinian state, because you see in the news you have a Palestinian prime minister, they call them, a Palestinian cabinet minister, Palestinian parliament. So to the people in the outside world, you think, oh wow, there's a state called Palestine, there's a government called Palestine. But in reality, there is a government that was put in there by the United States, and by, actually it was based on the Oslo Peace Agreement. And the United States gives them, I think, 20 million a year or something like that. That's what they receive. Okay, Ray, stay with me for a second, please. I do have the map that I was looking for on TV now. If you notice, ladies and gentlemen, now this is just an outlay for where this wall is going. If you see where it says Kalkilia, where up there, that is a whole city that has been completely surrounded by the wall. If you notice all these lines that are going through, this is where the wall is going. This is where the wall is going, and there will be only one gate where that whole town of about 200, 300,000 people living in, or probably more in Qalqilia, that people will have to go through, and you have to have a permission to leave that town. That's where the wall is going. And inside each town itself, like for instance, where you see that Qalqilia, the one that starts with Q on the left-hand side, that is also divided from within with the same type of walls. So even the whole city is surrounded, but yet you will see other walls inside the town. But anyhow, Ray, Israel gets about $11 billion a year. That's what we call, because you have to understand, there are loans that we give them as loans, and we say, you know, like 3 years, 4 years later, we forgive them of these loans. That's where the problem is. Now, we do give the Palestinians about 20 million, 30 million to keep that little government there for a purpose. And the purpose is, as you saw a couple of weeks ago, they called Abbas to come to Annapolis for a peace conference. That was really nothing but a photo op so George Bush can have something positive to show his mom when he gets out of the White House that, hey, I tried to make peace, but he really did not try to make peace at all.
Well, that's rather pale in comparison to the money we give to Israel, right?
Of course, it's nothing. It's peanuts.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let me just very much, a lot of issues have been actually raised from Jay. The CIA operatives, and they destroyed the tapes. Well, they're cleaning up because, they probably think, well, maybe we might have, and it's going to take them more than a year to clean up the mess that the Bush administration actually was okay with. Yeah, the torture. We had, and he also raised the Justice Department. What Justice Department? We need to change that, the name of it, to the Unjustice Department, because now we have this guy, what's his name? Marcuzzi? Something like that. Anyhow, maybe I can't think of his name, but I think it's Marcuzzi or Marcuzzi, something like that. This guy, he is proven to be an unjust judge. He was a judge in New York, New Jersey area, and we're not going to get into a lot of what he has done, but the Justice Department will not be a Justice Department as long as it's part of the George Bush cabinet, because George Bush is not a just man. He was never a just man. He doesn't know how to be a just man, and he is controlled by other people's agenda, and it is not the United States agenda. Because if he cared about the people in the United States, he will not be sending them to Iraq and Afghanistan to die, and he would not have wanted to send them to Iran to also die, and he would not be risking this country going to war in a third world war. And wars these days, ladies and gentlemen, it is not, you don't fight a war these days with just pistols and guns. Now other people have nuclear bombs that we are trying to actually step on their toes. I don't forgive, and I will never forgive what George Bush has done to the dollar because of his policies. Because of his policies, even people that we are giving the dollar to, like Israel, wanted to have it in a euro. Because the dollar has lost, ladies and gentlemen, over 35% of its value just since the start of the war in Iraq. And it's going downhill. So if you had $100,000 savings in your bank account thinking for your retirement, you only have $60,000 in there or $65,000 in there. Period. And as we go, it will keep continuing to go down. Now, people are moving from the dollar? Yes. Countries are moving from the dollar? Yes. We used to be a superpower. Now we are a superpower in decline. Now we are a superpower in decline. Those hundreds that are written on your $100 bill, they're not a $100 bill anymore. because you can't buy what you used to buy with a $100 bill. And it is not inflation either. It is not inflation either. That's because of this man's policies that we still have in him in the White House. Okay, let's get back to Ramsey. Go ahead, Ramsey.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Yes, I just want to tell you something, like something that I always forget. Regarding the foreign aid, Israel has the same economy or GDP as Spain, and Israel is the highest recipient of foreign aid. So the question is, why are the Israelis getting so much money when they don't need it? And sir, the man that you were referring to is Michael McCarthy.
McCarthy, yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, and so that's the guy. So and so regarding the occupation, also you have to the American people have to remember that also Gaza Strip is still occupied. They still control the border, the coastline, and the.
Of course, I mean the Gaza Strip is worse than an occupation, Ramsey. In the Gaza Strip, in the Gaza Strip is starvation and bombardment all day. I mean the Israeli army had been engaged, not really engaged. I mean they are bombarding the heck out of Gaza. A lot of people are dying in Gaza as we speak, and I have Larry. He will tell you that the Israelis are not killing the Palestinians. But I appreciate you for the information you added, Ramsey. Thanks.
And sir, please comment on the menorah.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you. Well, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking about the Jewish menorah being in the White House, and actually, it's a huge one. It's been there. It's been there for quite a few years now. It's not the first time that the Jewish menorah gets in the White House, and it's not the first time that a sitting president actually lights up the Jewish menorah. But the question is, Jews consist only about 1% and something of the whole population, and you do have other minorities. You have other people in the United States that are more in numbers, that if you want to say, okay, well, let's get somebody else, then let's do some of the other religions in there. Not just a Christmas tree, and not just a menorah for only 1% of the population. But this, ladies and gentlemen, it tells you the influence that these people have on our government. Now, another way to look at it is that is a sign of power. This is not, oh, happy days again. It is Christmas, it's holidays. Well, I don't see holidays in the White House for others. Now, I understand having a Christmas tree, since the majority of people in the United States are Christian. And I really don't have a problem when people say it's a Christian nation. I don't have a problem with that, even though a lot of people don't want to call it a Christian nation. To me, what makes a nation is the majority of people in there. Now, of course, our Constitution, it does not really differentiate between a Christian and a Muslim, or a Christian and a Jew, Christian and a Buddhist, and that's how we want it to be. But if we see a lot of celebrations for Christmas out there, I don't have a problem with that. That's the majority of people here. Let them celebrate. But when I see the menorah in the White House, that signifies power. That signifies Jewish power. And that's the only comment that I can make on that. That it signifies Jewish power. That is not just, oh, let's, we're nice people, let's have, it's holidays, and let's celebrate the Jewish holiday. No, that's not it, because it was never there before. Only in the last few years. And only in the last few years that the media started covering the president when he's lighting up those candles. So, it just, look, hey, if they have that power, they paid for it, okay? They paid for it, so you suffer. Basically. He who has the money can buy the best of government. Period. Money controls everything. Money controls everything. Put this in your head. Money controls everything. Because when you have money, you will be able to buy all these newspapers that they are buying all over the country, and as a matter of fact, all over the world. You will be buying the media. You will be buying Congress, just like with AIPAC. Just go ahead and throw some of these AIPAC pictures on there. You know, when you have the President of the United States that goes to this conference and tells them, I am with you 100%. When you have congressmen saying that the most important thing for him is the security of Israel. That's our own Congress. Our own Congress says that the most important thing, one of them, the most important thing for him is the security of Israel. Why? Israel is spying on us. Israel has killed many Americans deliberately. The USS Liberty still, that story is still out there. Israel attacked us. Our president at that time, Johnson, he stopped the investigation. He said he did not want to embarrass an ally. Really? Just did not want to embarrass an ally? But let all these people die, all these good American soldiers that have signed up to protect America, and they were protecting America. When Israel attacked them, we say, we don't want to embarrass you. Just don't do it again. Okay, let's go to Jake on one. Go ahead, Jake. Jake?
Yes, I just wanted to say we're a Cajun English household.
Okay.
We were watching your program, and I believe you are dead on, but I have a quick question from you.
Sure.
Well, my question is, if we are supposed to be a neutral government, not respecting the establishment of any religion, then how come so much of our taxes is given to this country that exists solely on the basis of religion? And what can we do about it to get the message out that the majority Christian nation of America believes God's chosen people here? What can we do?
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Excellent question. Excellent question. You are thinking. Excellent question. Now, let me repeat his question for those in, well, I don't want to say any towns here and embarrass anyone, but what he said is if, and of course, not everybody agrees that we are not, when he said by neutral government, as far as religions, he's talking about the separation of church and state. And if we have that separation, then why are we giving our money to a state that says it is only a Jewish state? That's a good question. We are promoting extremism there. We are promoting this country that says it is a Jewish state. A country that was taken away from its original owners by European Jews because of what took place in Europe. The Palestinians had nothing to do with what took place in Europe, but yet we sympathized, the Western world did, with the Jews of Europe to go and take over another country and make a homeland for them, or a Jewish home in that land. But yet, as things progressed and Israel became stronger because of all the billions of dollars, ladies and gentlemen, are you able to afford and support your families the way they used to? I guarantee you probably not. You're probably working more. Your salary cannot make it anymore. Many of you are losing your homes because you can't pay those mortgages. Many of you are losing your homes because you can't pay anymore. You are living on credit cards. You are borrowing from this to pay this because your salary can't make it anymore. You can't afford. You go to the grocery store and you come back with few things. You used to come back with a cart full of groceries for your family. You can't do that anymore. If you think about the money that we are sending to Israel, it will take care of all of those problems. It will take care of all these problems. Because as a matter of fact, what we are doing is we are the taxes that they are taking away from us. And I said take away because actually, if you really want to get down to it, income tax is against the Constitution of the United States. They are not supposed to tax us on our income. Income tax very much started when the Federal Reserve Bank started. The Federal Reserve Bank is a bank. There's nothing federal about it. We'll get some pictures for the Federal Reserve Bank. This is something that started way back in early 1900s. And in this is one of the branches. I believe this is the one in Washington, if I'm not mistaken. This is one of the branches for the Federal Reserve Bank. These are the people. The way it works, the United States government prints the dollars and gives them to these people. They sell them to the Federal Reserve Bank. Let's say they do $1 billion. They sell it to the Federal Reserve Bank for $1 billion. But yet, the interest that the Federal Reserve Bank charges on that money is not even included in any of that money. What they return back is exactly $1 billion. And what happens is, you pay in the interest. The IRS started when this formula started. And these are 13 Jewish families that met at Jekyll Island in 1907, 1908, somewhere around there. 1911, I think it was when the Federal Reserve Act, 13, good. So in 1911, when they actually formed the Federal Reserve Bank, and in 1913, because these are the families who had all the money at that time, they were able to, believe it or not, way back then, control our Congress and having them pass the Federal Reserve Bank Act of 1913, which basically stealing money from the American people. Now you can't really do anything about it unless everybody in America says, you know what, I'm not going to give you my money anymore, my hard-earning money anymore. And there are a few people out there. I can't say that I am brave enough to do that. But there are people out there who are not actually, you have Ron Paul, for instance. He got it right. He got the Constitution right. That's a presidential candidate that we can support and we can go after. Or actually behind. We can go behind him, march behind him. But he is not, of course, he's not going to. I wish he will. And I ask everyone out there, go and vote for Ron Paul. Because he's the only one that is right for America. The only one that is right for America. But I really thank Jake for, Cajun family. I just had some gumbo for lunch, and that is a good Cajun food. And he was thinking, I'm glad that we have people out there who actually, they know what's going on, they know where the problem is, and they can actually realize where the problem is. I want you to go ahead and put some of these pictures for the children that Israel had killed, the Palestinian children. This is the tragedy, ladies and gentlemen, that you hear from the media here. They don't show you any of this stuff that we show you here. Now, this is a Palestinian home. These children probably, they're trying to find, I don't know, toys, their pencils, their pen, their school books. They're trying to find what was left for them after the Israelis demolished their home. I can understand and I sympathize with everybody who loses their home in a tornado. But when it's a deliberate human-on-human act, these children that Israel killed with your money, with your tax money, I guarantee you, if the mass media, and Larry wants to call here and say, oh, no, the Israelis are not killing the Palestinians. You know, what did these Palestinians, these little children, what did they do? What did they do? These children here. Oh, you're going to tell me these are terrorists? Extremists? This little child. Think about if you were this father who's saying goodbye to his little child. You don't see any of this. You don't see any of this on American media. What's so-called American media. It is not American media. Now, this is in Iraq. What about all these children that we killed in Iraq? You want to tell me that we had done a good job in Iraq? When we started this show, ladies and gentlemen, we started it because of what we had done in Iraq. I knew that what I was hearing from the mainstream media when we first started this show, I knew it wasn't right. Now, if I did not come from that part of the world originally, I would not have known that. If I was just listening to CNN and Fox and ABC and NBC and CBS, all these same news media that are owned by the same corporations that make these bombs to blow up kids like that. Go look at who owns the media. The corporations that own the media. It's the same corporations that own the military-industrial complex. The news media is more of a marketing tool for them. The news media goes out there, makes the news. And I say makes the news because media can make news, not just cover what had been made. The way they cover the news, ladies and gentlemen, and bring it to you to your house. The way they covered Iraq and what Iraq had supposedly done and what Iraq had supposedly had and what the threat that Iraq posed against us. We need to go kill them on their streets before they can come over here and kill us on our streets. That is what the United States Army was telling those soldiers going there early on. And they're still telling them the same thing, even though they have changed that, because now soldiers going there, they know that those people are not going to come here and kill us on our streets. But before, when we first went there, I had people, families of soldiers going there. Soldiers who were on their way to Iraq have told me personally, we need to go there, kill them on their street before they come here and kill us on our street. That's the lie. You believed it because of the media who actually owns the same corporation that owned these media outlets that were telling you how horrible Saddam Hussein it was and that he's a threat to the world and he's a threat to us. These same corporations that own the media that told you that, and in the beginning I guarantee you most of you were, yeah, let's get him, yeah. These same media, the same corporations own White Westinghouse, General Electric, Hughes Electric, and all the others. Now what do these people make? Jet fighters, missiles, guns, explosives. If the news media was conscious about what they were doing, and if the news media were just in their covering of the news, we would not have went to Iraq, because Iraq did not have any weapons of mass destruction. We all know that now. But at least you would have stood up back then if you had the right information. You would have stood up and said, no, we're not going. See, now they got this, the National Intelligence Estimate that came out last week, which I bet you most of you, probably if you watched the program last week, you have heard about it. But I guarantee you, you did not see anyone talking about it. I know Brother Freedom called the program and he said that he did not hear anything about it on Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity. The next day, I tried to listen and I tried to see if they would just mention something about it. They did not. Now, what the National Intelligence Estimate was, ladies and gentlemen, it is a report by supposedly our intelligence community that says that Iran does not have a weapons program. They are not working on nuclear bomb. Now, very few of you, by the way, even though when you thought that Iran was working on a weapons program, very few of you supported George Bush in his endeavor to go and attack Iran. But now, our intelligence service is saying that Iran does not have a weapons program. But even with that, voices in Washington and the neocons and Israel is very upset. Israel is furious at this report that Iran does not have weapons program, because Israel have been trying to feed the world with this garbage that Iran wants to annihilate Israel and they want to wipe out Israel off the face of the map. They have lied. Most of you did not hear the president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, when he said many, many times that that's not what he said. He did not say to wipe Israel off the face of the map. He did not say to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. But the media continued to bombard you with this information. Now Israel is very mad because our intelligence service is saying they don't have. What this happened is they pulled the rug from underneath Israel and the neocons and the Bush administration, even though my opinion is, because in October, ladies and gentlemen, October 15th, there was a summit in Iran, a summit of what is called the Caspian Sea countries. 5 countries, they met in Iran. And as a matter of fact, we have a picture of Putin and Ahmadinejad. Let's go ahead and throw that on. And they have very much said, the Russians have said, that an attack on Iran is an attack on Russia. Because an attack on Iran would have been hitting the vital interest of Russia. The vital interest of those countries around the Caspian Sea. So when it was hitting Iraq, the Russians very much didn't say much. But this man, what you're looking at right here, not the Iranian president, but President Putin of Russia. He had a meeting with the supreme leader of Iran. His name is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now, next to Putin is President Ahmadinejad of Iran. Even though he's the president, but yet we have other people, this person, the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, actually he's over everybody. He's over the president of Iran. So Putin met with him and he told him in person that he holds the key to stop America's attack on Iran. Now, if we put Putin and Bush, because Putin was here also in Washington, and actually he went to the farm. He went to Texas with George Bush, and he very much tried to tell George Bush, lay off. Iran is a red line. You can't cross that line, because you're not only hitting Iran, but you are also hitting Russia, our vital interest in Iran, and we're not going to allow you. So what it came down to, ladies and gentlemen, is a conflict between 2 old enemies, the United States and Russia. Don't think that with the breakup of the Soviet Union, that Russia, of course, it was weakened, and the power that we had given. See, this is the thing about our administration. When we have an enemy, they make that enemy's power, or when we make an enemy, we make that enemy's power so strong. And you remember that how many times they told us that the Russians were going to actually hit us with nuclear weapons and all that stuff? And when the Soviet Union was disintegrated, but see, Russia is back now. Russia had built up. Russia is a vast country with vast resources. And they do have nuclear bombs. They have about 10,000 nuclear bombs. That's why we have about 15,000 nuclear bombs. But guess how many nuclear bombs it will take to destroy this whole world? We don't even need to use all these in case if we have a war between the Russians and the United States. Now, with this intelligence report, we very much had to back off. The United States had to back off from attacking Iran. Because now the reason we were given to the world, the reason the Israelis were giving us, and we had to give that to the, and go along with what the Israelis were saying, that Iran has nuclear weapons program. And on this show, ladies and gentlemen, so many times I've told you, even if they have a nuclear weapons program, that they will have the bomb in 2010 and 2015. Guess how many bombs Israel has since the 1960s? Why do you think JFK was assassinated? Because of the mafia? Because of Castro? Read Michael Collins Piper. Read his book, JFK. You will see that he was assassinated because he wanted to stop Israel nuclear program. Now Israel has about 400 nuclear bombs. If Iran got one nuclear bomb or two, what are they going to do with it? Throw it at a city in Israel? Kill 1 million Israelis? What do you think Israel is going to do? What do you think the United States, that is the hands, the operative hands in the United States are Jewish Zionists? What do you think they're going to do to Iran? So you really think that Iran would be that stupid? Iran, the country that has not in its whole history attacked anyone or went to war, engaged in a war with anyone. Of course, there was the Iraq-Iran war, but we very much, the United States, had told Saddam to go and attack the Iranians after the Khomeini revolution, after they kicked out the Shah and they elected this government that they have now. So, this all lie. We were going to attack Iran, but I'm not all convinced, even though George Bush is throwing a fit about this estimate reports from our intelligence agencies. I always maintain, and I do now, that the intelligence agencies work for George Bush because they fabricated the intelligence for Iraq. They said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. George Tenet, you remember him when he was sitting behind Colin Powell at the United Nations. In 2005, these same intelligence services said that Iran does have a nuclear program because that's what George Bush wanted, because that's what the Israelis wanted. But now, and even though the International Atomic Energy Agency always maintained that Iran does not have a weapons program, but yet our intelligence services were saying they did have it. In 2005, the estimate was they have it. Now in 2007, because we probably risking a confrontation with Russia, because Russia said, not publicly, because we can't back down publicly. We are supposed to be the supreme, the strongest, the superpower. I think we could have had our superpower, the new American century, and be the only superpower. I think we could have had it if we did not go to war against Iraq for Israel. Because dividing Iraq into 3 or more states is an Israeli plan. They said it way back in the 1970s. It's documented. We implemented for them. We finished that for them. By the way, next year, We will be coming to you on Thursdays, but at 8 o'clock in the evening. Thursdays at 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm glad we got our old time schedule back. But, of course, every 6 months, as you have been used to us, every 6 months it changes. But hopefully we can maintain that. So next year it'll be at 8. But we will continue. We will be here on the 13th and we're on the 20th. Good night, everyone. Go do the right thing.